Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, and like the video so you won't miss our true horror stories. One thing no one tells you about Fort Bragg during basic training is how the fog suddenly descends. It's not the elegant, enchanting fog you see in movies. This fog is different. It blankets the earth like snow, and you feel its density in your lungs. It's the kind of fog that absorbs sound and makes you feel compelled to verify every shadow you see with your NVGs before your brain accepts that it's just a tree. Everything was going wrong during the 6th hour of the night navigation exercise. It was a routine training operation. Our team, codenamed Reaper 4, was tasked with passing through the Longstreet Training Area and establishing a defensive position near Range 68. Standard patrol procedures. An exercise we had done countless times before. My name is Staff Sergeant David Hensley, 11 years with the 82nd Airborne, 2 deployments to Afghanistan, 1 to Iraq. I had walked through worse terrain under worse conditions, but something about that night felt different from the moment we stepped off the hardball road and into the tree line. The fog was already waist-high when we started. Specialist Marcus Alvarez was on point, a solid operator with sharp instincts. Behind him came Private Joshua Whitaker, our youngest team member, still green but learning fast. Lieutenant Ethan Caldwell was third in line, leading from the middle like he always did. Private Darnell Brooks covered our left flank, and I brought up the rear. The forest floor crunched under our boots. Pine needles, dry leaves, the occasional snap of a twig. We moved slow, keeping interval, watching our sectors. The fog climbed higher with every 100 meters. By the time we hit the first checkpoint, it was chest high and rising. Alvarez raised a fist. We froze. He keyed his mic. Checkpoint Alpha. All clear. Lieutenant Caldwell responded. Copy. Continue to Bravo. We pushed forward. Visibility dropped to maybe 15 meters. Everything beyond that was just a wall of green haze in our night vision. That was when Brooks called out. Hensley, you seeing this? I moved up to his position. Through the fog, I could make out tire tracks cutting through the underbrush, fresh ones, deep ruts in the soft dirt. Training op? Brooks asked. I shook my head. Not supposed to be anyone else out here tonight. Lieutenant Caldwell moved up beside us. He keyed his radio. Reaper 4 to range control. We have vehicle sign at our current position. Request confirmation on other units in sector. Static answered. Caldwell tried again. Nothing but dead air. Comms are getting jammed by the fog, Alvarez said. It happens sometimes during training. Annoying, but not dangerous. Caldwell made the call. We continued to Bravo. Stay alert. We adjusted spacing and kept moving. The trail curved north through Sandhills Forest. The trees here were older, thicker, their branches blocking out what little moonlight remained. Our night vision goggles turned everything into shades of gray and green. 15 minutes later, Whitaker broke silence. I heard something. We all stopped. I strained to listen, then I heard it too. Footsteps. Off to our left, maybe 30 meters out, moving parallel to our position. Alvarez dropped to a knee and brought his rifle up. We formed a hasty defensive line. The footsteps continued. Slow, deliberate, the rhythm of someone moving tactically. Lieutenant Caldwell keyed his mic. Unknown element, this is Reaper 4 actual. Identify yourself. Silence. He tried again. If you are friendly, identify yourself immediately. Nothing. But the footsteps stopped. We held position for 2 minutes. Finally, Caldwell gave the signal to move. We pushed forward faster, putting distance between us and whatever had been out there. By the time we reached checkpoint Bravo, the fog was so thick I could barely see Alvarez 10 feet ahead. Visibility was down to maybe 5 meters. Every step felt like walking into a wall of gray nothing. Caldwell tried the radio again. Reaper 4 to range control. Checkpoint Bravo reached. Request status update. Static, then garbled transmission. We could not make out what was said. We pushed to objective, Caldwell said. Range 68 is only 2 clicks north. Nobody argued. We adjusted formation and kept moving. My uniform was soaked from moisture in the air. Everything felt heavy, slow. That was when Whitaker went missing. It happened fast. One moment he was there, fourth in line, moving through the fog just ahead of me. The next moment, he was gone. No sound, no call, no sign of struggle, just empty space. I stopped and keyed my mic. "Whitaker, report." Silence. "Whitaker, this is Hensley. Report your position." Nothing. Alvarez moved back to my position. "Where did he go?" "I do not know. He was right here 10 seconds ago." Lieutenant Caldwell came up fast. "What happened?" "Whitaker is gone." No comms, no visual. Caldwell keyed his radio. "All elements, sound off." Alvarez, here. Brooks, here. Hensley, here. No response from Whitaker. "We backtrack," Caldwell said. "Stay in formation." Nobody separates. We turned and began retracing our steps. Alvarez called out, "Whitaker!" "Sound off." His voice echoed through the trees and died in the fog. After 50 meters, we found his rifle. It was lying on the trail, stock down, barrel pointed into the undergrowth. Safety still on, magazine seated, no sign of struggle. The rifle was just there, abandoned. Brooks picked it up. Clear, no round chambered. Lieutenant Caldwell stared at the weapon. Why would he drop his rifle? A soldier does not drop his weapon, not ever. "Whitaker!" Caldwell shouted. His voice bounced back from the trees. Silence. I scanned with my night vision goggles. Then I saw footprints leading off the trail, heading west. Single file, deliberate spacing, standard issue combat boots. Whitaker wore 10s. "Tracks," I said, leading west. Caldwell examined them. He walked away, on his own. "Why?" Brooks asked. "I do not know, but we are going to find out." Alvarez, take point. Follow the tracks. We moved off the trail into dense undergrowth. The fog pressed against us. Branches scraped our uniforms. The footprints continued in a straight line, never deviating. After 100 meters, the prints stopped, not faded. They just ended. One moment clear and distinct. The next, nothing. Just smooth dirt and scattered leaves. Alvarez knelt. "This does not make sense." The tracks just stop. I looked up. The trees here had their lowest branches at least 15 feet off the ground. No way Whitaker could have climbed without leaving sign. Caldwell keyed his radio. "Range control, this is Reaper 4 actual. We have a man down. Request immediate search and rescue support." Static. Then a faint, broken voice. "Reaper, say again. Broken." "Range control, we need SAR now. One man missing. Last known position grid, November Delta 7348. The radio hissed, then went silent. "Sir," Brooks said quietly, "what do we do?" Caldwell stared at where the footprints ended. "We keep looking. We are not leaving him." We spread out in a line and began a sweep pattern, back and forth through the undergrowth, calling Whitaker's name every 30 seconds. The fog swallowed our voices. An hour passed, then 2. My legs burned. Sweat mixed with moisture from the fog. My night vision goggles dimmed. I switched batteries and kept moving. At some point, the forest changed. The trees looked older, the spacing between them wider. The undergrowth thinned until we were walking through open ground covered in pine needles and moss. Alvarez stopped suddenly. "Do you hear that?" We froze. Then I heard it. A voice, faint, distant. "Help." It was Whitaker. "Whitaker!" Caldwell shouted. "Where are you?" The voice came again. "Help me!" We moved toward the sound, fast now. The voice called out twice more, each time clearer, closer. Relief flooded through me. Then we stepped into the clearing. It was not on any map. A perfect circle of open ground, maybe 50 meters across, ringed by massive pines. The fog hung lower here, pooling like water. In the center stood a single structure, a watchtower, old, wooden, half collapsed, leaning to one side. And at the base of the tower, sitting with his back against the support beam, was Whitaker. He was staring straight ahead, eyes open, unblinking. His hands rested on his knees. He did not move when we approached. He just sat there, perfectly still. "Whitaker," Lieutenant Caldwell said, kneeling beside him. "Are you hurt?" No response. Caldwell waved a hand in front of his face. Nothing. Whitaker's eyes did not track. They did not blink. I checked his pulse, strong and steady, breathing normal. Physically, he looked fine. But something was wrong. Brooks crouched beside me. "What is wrong with him?" "Shock, maybe. Or hypothermia." Alvarez grabbed Whitaker by the shoulders and shook him gently. "Whitaker." "Joshua, look at me." Still nothing. Then, slowly, Whitaker's mouth opened. His voice came out flat, empty. "Do not follow the tracks. They do not lead anywhere. They just bring you here." Caldwell leaned closer. "What are you talking about? What happened to you?" Whitaker's eyes finally moved. They shifted to Caldwell, locked on his face. "You should not have come looking for me. Now you are here too." "Here where?" I asked. Whitaker did not answer. He just turned his head slowly and looked up at the watchtower. We all followed his gaze. At the top of the tower, barely visible through the fog, something moved. A shape, human-sized, standing perfectly still, looking down at us. My hand went to my rifle. Alvarez brought his weapon up. Brooks took a step back. Caldwell stood frozen. "Identify yourself," Caldwell shouted. The figure did not move, did not speak. It just stood there, watching. Then, without a sound, it stepped back into the fog and disappeared. We stood in the clearing, surrounded by trees that felt like they were closing in, staring at an empty watchtower that should not exist. And at our feet, Private Joshua Whitaker sat with his back against the beam, whispering the same words over and over again. "They do not lead anywhere. They just bring you here." Lieutenant Caldwell made the call fast. "We extract. Now." Nobody argued. Alvarez moved to Whitaker's side and tried to lift him. Whitaker did not resist, but he did not help either. His body was dead weight, limbs slack, eyes still locked on nothing. Between Alvarez and Brooks, they managed to get him on his feet, but his legs would not hold. He sagged like a puppet with cut strings. "Carry him," Caldwell ordered. "Firemen, carry if you have to." Brooks slung his rifle and hoisted Whitaker onto his shoulders. The kid was small, maybe 160 soaking wet, but in full gear, it was still a load. Brooks grunted under the weight and adjusted his stance. I kept my rifle up, scanning the tree line. The fog had not thinned. If anything, it felt thicker now, pressing in from all sides. The watchtower loomed behind us, its frame creaking softly in the wind. I did not look back. I did not want to see if something was standing at the top again. "Move out," Caldwell said. "Same formation. Hensley, you have rear security." We started back the way we came, or at least the way we thought we came. The problem was simple. The fog had erased our tracks. Every direction looked the same. Trees, undergrowth, more fog, no landmarks, no trail markers, just endless gray. Alvarez led us south, using his compass to hold a steady bearing. We pushed through thick brush, stepping over fallen logs, ducking under low branches. Brooks struggled with Whitaker's weight, his breathing heavy and labored. Every 50 meters we stopped so he could shift the load. "How you doing?" I asked him during one stop. "Fine," Brooks said, though sweat poured down his face. "Just keep moving." We kept moving, but something felt wrong. The forest around us did not look familiar. The trees were too close together. The ground sloped at the wrong angle. I checked my own compass. South, just like Alvarez, but south should have taken us back toward the Hardball Road. Instead, we seemed to be going deeper into the woods. After 20 minutes, Caldwell called a halt. "Alvarez, how far have we traveled?" "Maybe 500 meters, sir." We should have hit the trail by now. Alvarez nodded slowly. I know. Caldwell pulled out his map and clicked on a red lens flashlight. He studied the terrain features, tracing routes with his finger. After a moment, he looked up. We are off course. Way off. How? I asked. We have been holding south the whole time. I do not know, but according to this, we should be near checkpoint Bravo. I do not see anything that matches. I looked around. He was right. Checkpoint Bravo had a small clearing with a vehicle turnaround. What surrounded us now was dense forest with no sign of human activity. Sir, Alvarez said quietly, I think we are lost. The word hung in the air. Lost. In a training area we had walked a dozen times before. It should not have been possible. Caldwell folded the map and tucked it away. We keep moving south. Eventually we will hit the perimeter fence or a road. Stay tight. We moved again. The fog seemed to grow thicker with each step. My night vision goggles struggled to cut through it. Shapes became vague blurs. Distance became impossible to judge. I found myself walking closer to Brooks just to keep him in sight. Then Whitaker spoke. His voice was still flat, empty, but louder now. You are walking in circles. The forest does not let you leave. Brooks stopped. What did he say? Keep moving, Caldwell snapped. The tower marks the center, Whitaker continued. Everything spirals back to it. You can walk for hours. You will always end up there. Alvarez turned to face Caldwell. Sir, maybe we should stop and reassess. Negative. We pushed through, but 20 minutes later, we stepped into the clearing again. The same clearing, the same watchtower, the same circle of massive pines. It sat there in the fog exactly as we had left it, waiting for us like it knew we would return. Brooks dropped to one knee, exhausted. Whitaker slid off his shoulders and sat on the ground, staring at the tower again. Alvarez swore under his breath. I felt my stomach tighten into a knot. This is impossible, Caldwell said. His voice was tight, controlled, but I could hear the strain beneath it. We held a steady bearing. We should be 2 clicks from here. Whitaker tried to tell us, Brooks said. The forest does not let you leave. That is ridiculous, Caldwell shot back. This is Fort Bragg, not some supernatural maze. We are disoriented. The fog is playing tricks. I wanted to believe him. But we had walked for 40 minutes on a straight line south, and somehow we were back where we started. That was not disorientation. That was something else. Alvarez moved to the edge of the clearing and examined the trees. Sir, there is no way we came from that direction. Look at the undergrowth. It is undisturbed. Caldwell joined him. He was right. If we had walked through there 20 minutes ago, there would be broken branches, scuff marks in the dirt, some sign of passage. There was nothing. Then where did we come from? Caldwell asked. Nobody answered. Because none of us knew. I checked my watch. It was 02:47. We had been in the field for almost 8 hours. Sunrise was still 4 hours away. My radio was still dead. The sat phone in my pack would not connect either. I had tried it twice already. No signal. Like the fog was blocking everything. Caldwell made another decision. We hold here until dawn, set a perimeter, 2-man shifts, 4 hours each. Once we have daylight, we navigate out. It was the smart call. Moving blind in the fog was just going to exhaust us and put us right back here again. Better to rest, conserve energy, and wait for visibility. We spread out around the clearing, each taking a position facing outward. I paired with Brooks. Alvarez and Caldwell took the first watch. Whitaker sat in the center near the watchtower, still staring at it like he was waiting for something. I tried to sleep. I closed my eyes and slowed my breathing, but every sound in the forest felt amplified. The rustle of leaves, the creak of branches, the faint whisper of wind through the pines. And underneath it all, a low hum that I could not identify. Not mechanical, not natural, just a steady vibration that seemed to come from the ground itself. After 30 minutes, I gave up and sat with my back against a tree, rifle across my lap. Brooks was a few meters away, also awake, staring into the fog. "You believe him?" Brooks asked quietly. "Who?" "Whitaker. About the forest, not letting us leave." I did not answer right away. Part of me wanted to say no, wanted to tell him it was just disorientation and bad luck, but another part of me, the part that had learned to trust instinct over logic in bad situations, was not so sure. "I do not know," I said finally, "but we are going to find out in the morning." Brooks nodded. He looked young in the green glow of my night vision goggles. Too young to be sitting in the middle of nowhere, lost in a training area that should not have been able to lose us. At 04:30, Caldwell woke me for second watch. I had dozed off without realizing it. My neck was stiff, my legs cold. Alvarez was already awake, sitting near Whitaker, watching him like he might bolt at any second. "Anything?" I asked Caldwell. Quiet. Too quiet. I knew what he meant. In 8 hours, we had not heard a single animal. No deer, no raccoons, no birds, just silence and fog. I took my position and scanned the tree line. The fog had not lifted. If anything, it looked denser now, a solid wall of gray that pressed against the edge of the clearing like it was trying to push in. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Not from the forest, from the watchtower. I turned slowly. At first, I saw nothing, just the old wooden frame leaning in the fog, then movement. Someone was climbing the ladder. Slow, deliberate, one rung at a time. "Alvarez," I whispered. "You seeing this?" He turned and brought his rifle up. "Yeah, I see it." The figure reached the platform at the top and stood there, looking down at us. It was too dark to make out features, but I could see the outline. Human-shaped, tall, wearing something that looked like a uniform. Caldwell moved up beside us. "Who the hell is that?" I did not know, but my pulse was hammering now, instinct screaming at me that something was very wrong. "Identify yourself!" Caldwell shouted. His voice echoed across the clearing. The figure did not respond. It just stood there, perfectly still. Caldwell raised his rifle and activated his weapon light. The beam cut through the fog and hit the platform. For a split second, we saw it clearly. It was a soldier, or it looked like one. Woodland camouflage, helmet, tactical vest. But the face was wrong. Too pale, too still. The eyes were open but empty, staring down at us without blinking. Then the light flickered, the figure moved. Not walked, moved. One moment, it was at the top of the tower. The next, it was at the base. No climb down, no jump. It just appeared there, standing 10 meters from us in the fog. Brooks shouted and brought his rifle up. Alvarez backed away. I felt my fingers slide onto the trigger, every instinct telling me to fire. But Caldwell held up a hand. "Wait." The figure stood there, motionless. Its chest did not rise or fall. Its eyes did not blink. It looked like a person, but moved like something else, something that did not follow the rules. Then it spoke. The voice was flat, mechanical, the same tone Whitaker had used. "You should not have come here." Caldwell stepped forward. "Who are you? What unit? This place does not belong to you anymore. It belongs to what came before. Answer the question," Caldwell demanded. "Identify yourself." The figure tilted its head, the motion too smooth, too fluid. "I was like you once. I walked the same trails. I followed the same orders. Then I found the tower, and the tower found me." Whitaker stood up slowly from where he had been sitting. His eyes were locked on the figure. "You are the first one." The figure turned to him. "Yes." "How many are there?" Whitaker asked. "Enough. More every year. They send new ones, and we keep them." My blood ran cold. I did not understand what was happening, but I understood enough. This place, this clearing, this tower, It was a trap, and we had walked right into it. Caldwell raised his rifle higher. "Step back." "Do it now." The figure did not move. "You can point that weapon all you want. It will not change anything. You are already here. That means you are already ours." "Like hell we are," Brooks said. The figure turned to him. "You walked the spiral path. You followed the tracks. You heard the voice calling for help. Every step brought you closer. Now you are inside, and there is no way out except to become what we are." Alvarez fired. The shot cracked through the clearing, echoing off the trees. The round hit center mass. I saw the impact, saw the figure jerk back from the force. But it did not fall. It just stood there, looking down at the hole in its chest like it was a mild inconvenience. Then it smiled. "See," it said, "rules do not apply here." Caldwell grabbed Alvarez by the vest. "Fall back. Everyone move." We ran. Not south, not north, just away from the figure and the tower. We crashed through the undergrowth, branches tearing at our uniforms, roots catching our boots. Brooks grabbed Whitaker and dragged him along. I ran behind them, glancing back every few seconds. The figure was not following. It just stood there, in the clearing, watching us go. But I knew it did not need to follow, because Whitaker was right. The forest did not let you leave. Every path led back to the tower. We ran for 10 minutes before exhaustion forced us to stop. My lungs burned. My legs felt like lead. I dropped to one knee and scanned behind us. Nothing, just fog and trees. "What was that?" Brooks gasped. "What the hell was that?" "I do not know," Caldwell said. His hands were shaking. I had never seen him like this before. "But we are getting out of here. Right now." "How?" Alvarez asked. "We already tried. We keep coming back." Whitaker spoke quietly from where he sat. "There is a way. But you have to go through the tower." We all turned to him. "What?" Caldwell said. "The tower is the center. The spiral leads in. If you want out, you have to go through the center, through the door at the base." "That is insane," Brooks said. "Maybe," Whitaker replied, "but it is the only way." We sat in silence for a long moment. The fog pressed in from all sides. The tower waited somewhere behind us in the darkness, and Whitaker sat there with that empty look in his eyes, telling us the only way out was to go back to the place we had just fled from. Lieutenant Caldwell shook his head. "No, we are not going back there. Then you will walk in circles until the fog never lifts," Whitaker said flatly. "Or until you become like the others, like the one you saw, like I am becoming." Brooks stared at him. "What do you mean, becoming?" Whitaker held up his hand. In the green glow of our night vision goggles, I could see his fingers. They looked wrong. The skin was too pale, almost translucent. The veins underneath were dark, visible through the flesh, like ink spreading through water. "It starts slow," Whitaker said. "First, you forget small things. Your name, your unit, where you came from. Then you forget why you wanted to leave. After that, you do not want to leave anymore. You just wait at the tower. You wait for the next ones to come. And when they do, you welcome them." Alvarez turned away and pressed his hands to his face. I could see his shoulders shaking. Brooks sat frozen, staring at Whitaker's hand. Caldwell looked at me, and for the first time since we had met, I saw real fear in his eyes. "How long?" I asked Whitaker. "Hours. Maybe a day. I do not know anymore. Time does not work right here." I checked my watch. It read 0512, but that was impossible. We had been sitting here for maybe 15 minutes. Before that, we ran for 10. My watch had said 0247 when we set the perimeter. That was barely 2 hours ago, but it felt like longer, much longer. "It is happening to all of us," Whitaker continued. "You just do not feel it yet. But you will. The fog gets inside. It changes you, makes you forget, makes you stay." "Shut up," Brooks snapped. "Just shut up." But Whitaker kept talking. The only ones who leave are the ones who go through the tower. I saw it happen once. A group like yours, they went inside. When they came out, the fog was gone. They walked south and did not come back. How do you know they made it out? Caldwell asked. Because they remembered their names when they left. They still knew who they were. That is how you know you can still leave, if you remember who you are. I tested it in my head. Staff Sergeant David Hensley, 82nd Airborne, 11 years in uniform. The details came easy. But there was something underneath, a faint blur at the edges of my memory, like trying to remember a dream after waking. I pushed it away and focused. What is inside the tower? I asked. I do not know. I never went in. I was too afraid. But the others did, and they left. So it must be the way out. Caldwell stood and paced in a tight circle. His breath came fast, visible even in the dark. He was trying to think, trying to make a tactical decision, but this was not a tactical situation. This was something else. Something we had no training for. Sir, Alvarez said quietly, what if he is right? He is not right, Caldwell said. This is a training area. There is no supernatural tower. There is no fog that traps people. We are disoriented, exhausted, maybe exposed to something chemical, but we are not trapped. Then explain what we saw, Brooks said. Explain the soldier who did not go down when Alvarez shot him. Explain how we walked south for 40 minutes and ended up back where we started. Caldwell did not have an answer. None of us did. I stood and checked my rifle. Full magazine, one in the chamber, safety on. Everything still worked. The weapon was real. The gear was real. That meant we were still real, still grounded in something that made sense. If we go back, I said slowly, we go in tactical. We clear the tower like any structure, room by room. We do not split up. We watch each other's backs, and if anything goes wrong, we pull out immediately. Caldwell looked at me. You are saying we do this. I am saying if Whitaker is right, and there is even a chance he is right, then we do not have another option. We can sit here and wait for the fog to take us, or we can move. Alvarez nodded. I am with Hensley. Brooks hesitated, then nodded too. Yeah, let's do it. Caldwell closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, he looked older, like the decision had cost him something. Okay, we go back. We clear the tower, but we stay sharp. If I give the word to pull out, we pull out, no questions. Yes, sir, we said in unison. Whitaker stood slowly. His movements were stiff, mechanical, like his joints did not bend right anymore. I will take you back. I remember the way. We formed up. Whitaker led, Alvarez followed close behind. Then Caldwell, Brooks, and me on rear security. We moved through the fog in silence. My hands were slick with sweat inside my gloves. My heart hammered against my ribs. Every shadow looked like something waiting. Every sound felt like a warning. After 5 minutes, we stepped into the clearing. The tower stood in the center, exactly as we had left it. The figure was gone. The clearing was empty, just the old wooden structure leaning in the fog, waiting. Spread out, Caldwell ordered. Cover the perimeter. Hensley, you are with me. We go in first. Alvarez and Brooks took positions at opposite ends of the clearing, rifles up, scanning for movement. Whitaker stood near the tree line, staring at the tower with that same empty expression. Caldwell and I approached the base of the structure. Up close, it looked worse. The wood was rotted, splintered, covered in moss and mold. Some of the support beams had cracked. The ladder was missing rungs. The whole thing looked like it might collapse if you breathed on it too hard. At the base was a door. I had not noticed it before. It was small, maybe 5 feet tall, made of heavy wood with iron hinges. No handle, no lock. Just a door set into the frame. You ready? Caldwell asked. I nodded. He reached out and pushed. The door swung open with a low creak. Inside was darkness, not the kind of darkness you get from lack of light. This was thicker, deeper, like looking into a void. My NVGs could not penetrate it. The night vision just showed a black rectangle where the doorway should be. Caldwell clicked on his weapon light. The beam cut into the darkness and revealed a narrow staircase descending into the ground. Stone steps, worn smooth, disappearing into shadow. "It goes down," I said. "Yeah. Watchtowers do not have basements." "I know." We stood there for a moment staring into the dark. Every instinct I had screamed at me to turn around and walk away. But Whitaker's words echoed in my head. "The only way out is through." "Alvarez, Brooks," Caldwell called. "We are going in. Hold the perimeter. If we are not back in 15 minutes, you pull out and try to reach command on your own." "Sir," Alvarez protested. "That is an order." Alvarez nodded reluctantly. Brooks looked like he wanted to argue, but stayed silent. Caldwell looked at me. "Let's move." We stepped through the door. The air inside was cold, colder than outside, and it smelled like earth and rust. The staircase was steep, the steps uneven. My boots scraped against stone. The walls on either side were rough-hewn rock, glistening with moisture. I kept my rifle up, finger near the trigger, eyes scanning ahead. After 20 steps, the staircase leveled out into a corridor. The ceiling was low, maybe 6 feet, forcing us to hunch slightly. Support beams ran along the walls at intervals. The floor was packed dirt. "This is not part of Fort Bragg," I said quietly. "No, it is not." We moved forward. The corridor stretched ahead into darkness. Our lights pushed back the shadows, but did not reach the end. It felt like walking into a throat, something vast and alive swallowing us whole. After 50 feet, the corridor opened into a chamber. It was circular, maybe 20 feet across, with a domed ceiling. The walls were lined with shelves, and on those shelves were objects, personal items, dog tags, watches, wallets, photographs, hundreds of them, maybe thousands, stacked and arranged with care. I moved closer and picked up a set of dog tags. The name was worn but readable. PFC Michael Torres. The date stamped on them was 1987. "These are from soldiers," Caldwell said. He held a wallet, flipping through ID cards. "Different units, different years. Some of these go back decades." I scanned the shelves. There were items from every era. Vietnam-era gear, Gulf War patches, more recent ACU uniforms. It was a collection, a memorial, or a trophy room. In the center of the chamber was a table. On the table was a book, thick, leather-bound, the pages yellowed with age. Caldwell moved to it and opened the cover. Inside were names. Hundreds of names, written in different hands, different inks, stretching back page after page. Some entries had dates, others just had names. At the bottom of the most recent page, someone had written in fresh ink, "Joshua Whitaker, 82nd Airborne, November 2024. Caldwell stared at it. He wrote his own name. I looked closer. The handwriting matched the entries above it. Neat, uniform, like they were all written by the same person, or by people who had become the same. "We need to leave," I said. "Right now." Caldwell nodded, but before we could move, I heard something behind us, footsteps on the stairs, slow, deliberate, multiple sets. I turned and brought my rifle up. 3 figures stepped into the chamber. The first was the soldier we had seen before. The others looked similar. Pale faces, empty eyes, woodland camouflage from different eras. They moved in unison, like puppets on the same string. "You came through the door," the first one said. "That means you understand. That means you are ready." "Ready for what?" Caldwell demanded. "To stay, to wait, to welcome the next ones." I backed toward the far wall, keeping my rifle trained on them. "We are not staying. We are leaving." The figure tilted its head. "You cannot leave. Not anymore. You came inside. You saw the names. Now you add yours." One of the other figures held out the book. The pen rested on top, ink still wet from Whitaker's entry. "Write your name," it said. "Then you will understand. Then you will be free." Caldwell raised his rifle higher. "Stay back." The figures did not move closer. They just stood there, holding the book, waiting. "It is the only way," the first one repeated. "The fog does not lift until you write your name. Once you do, you become part of the forest, part of the tower, part of what waits here. Then you can leave the chamber. You can walk the clearing. You can welcome the others." My stomach turned. I understood now. This was not a way out. This was initiation, a ritual. You wrote your name and became like them, trapped, waiting, a ghost in the fog. "There has to be another way," I said. "There is no other way," the figure replied. "This is what the tower offers. Stay and forget, or leave and remember nothing." Caldwell looked at me. "We run." I nodded. We moved together, backing toward the corridor. The figures did not chase us. They just stood there, holding the book, watching with those empty eyes. We hit the corridor at a full sprint. Behind us, I heard their voices echoing through the chamber, speaking in unison. "You will come back. You will always come back. The fog will bring you." We took the stairs 2 at a time, stumbling on the uneven stone, hands scraping the walls for balance. My lungs burned. My legs screamed, but I did not stop. We burst through the door and into the clearing. Alvarez and Brooks were still there, rifles up, faces tense. "Move!" Caldwell shouted. "Everyone move now!" We ran. We did not look back. We crashed through the undergrowth, branches tearing at our uniforms, roots catching our boots. I did not know which direction we were going. I did not care. We just ran. And then, suddenly, the fog broke. One moment we were surrounded by gray. The next, the air cleared. I could see the sky, stars, the faint glow of dawn on the horizon, trees with normal spacing, a trail marker ahead with a familiar number stenciled on it. We stumbled onto the hardball road near Checkpoint Alpha. The transport vehicles were parked exactly where we had left them. The command tent was set up, with lights glowing inside. Other soldiers moved around, going about their routines. Like nothing had happened, we stood there gasping for air, staring at the normal world like we had just stepped through a portal. A staff sergeant approached us. "You guys all right?" "You look like hell." Caldwell straightened, trying to compose himself. "We got turned around in the fog." "What time is it?" The staff sergeant checked his watch. "Oh, 6:30. You have been out there all night. Command was about to send a search party. All night. We had walked into the fog at 2100. It was now 6:30, 9 hours, but it had felt like days." "Where is your 5th man?" the staff sergeant asked. "Your roster says 5. We looked at each other. My blood ran cold. "Whitaker," Brooks said. "We left him in the clearing." Caldwell closed his eyes. "No, he stayed behind. He did not follow us out." I turned and looked back toward the tree line. The fog was gone. The forest looked normal. But somewhere in there, Whitaker was still sitting in that clearing, still staring at the tower, still becoming something else. "We have to go back," Alvarez said. Caldwell shook his head. "No, we report to command. We tell them what happened. They send a proper search team." "They will not find him," I said quietly. "You know they will not." Caldwell met my eyes. He knew I was right. But he was an officer. He had to follow procedure. "We report first, then we see." We walked toward the command tent. Behind us, the forest waited, and somewhere deep inside, in a clearing that was not on any map, a watchtower stood in the fog. And at its base, a door waited for the next ones to come. The debriefing room was small, windowless, and smelled like stale coffee and disinfectant. A single fluorescent light hummed overhead, casting everything in a pale, sickly glow. Major Kellerman sat across from us, a recording device on the table between us, his face carved from stone. "Let me make sure I understand," he said slowly. "You are telling me that Private Whitaker disappeared into a clearing that does not exist, where you encountered hostile personnel who could not be killed, and then escaped through a tower that led underground to a chamber full of artifacts from soldiers dating back decades?" Lieutenant Caldwell sat, rigid in his chair. "Yes, sir." "That is correct." Major Kellerman looked at each of us in turn. Alvarez stared at the table. Brooks rubbed his hands together nervously. I kept my expression neutral, the way I had learned to do when dealing with officers who did not want to hear the truth. "And you expect me to believe this?" Kellerman asked. "With respect, sir, I do not care if you believe it," Caldwell said. His voice was tight, controlled, but there was an edge to it I had never heard before. "I am telling you what happened. There is a man still out there. We need to send a search team." "We did send a search team," Kellerman replied. "They swept the entire Longstreet Training Area this morning. No clearing, no watchtower, no sign of Private Whitaker." The words hit like a punch to the gut. I had known it would happen, but hearing it confirmed made it real. "They did not look in the right place," Brooks said. "The clearing moves, or it hides, or something, but it is there." Kellerman leaned back in his chair. "Specialist Brooks, do you understand how that sounds?" "I understand perfectly, sir. It sounds insane, but that does not make it less true." Kellerman sighed and rubbed his eyes. He looked tired, like he had been dealing with this for hours. "Gentlemen, I am going to be frank with you. The four of you were exposed to dense fog, extreme cold, and prolonged stress during a night navigation exercise. Conditions like that can cause disorientation, hallucinations, and even shared delusions. What you experienced was real to you, but it was not objectively real." "We all saw the same things," Alvarez said quietly. "All four of us. How do you explain that? Shared trauma response, collective hallucination. It happens more often than you think, especially in high-stress military environments." Caldwell slammed his hand on the table. The recording device jumped. "We did not hallucinate a missing soldier, sir. Whitaker is gone. He needs help. Private Whitaker will be listed as missing pending investigation," Kellerman said. His voice had gone cold, formal. "His family will be notified. A search will continue, but as of now, you four are being placed on medical leave pending psychiatric evaluation. That is not a suggestion. That is an order." We sat in stunned silence. Psychiatric evaluation. That was military speak for they think we are crazy. They were going to bury this, classify it as a training accident, maybe list Whitaker as AWOL or desertion. Anything to avoid the truth. "Permission to speak freely, sir," I said. Kellerman nodded. "You have seen this before, have not you?" His expression did not change, but I saw something flicker behind his eyes. A moment of recognition. "I do not know what you mean, Staff Sergeant." "Yes, you do. The chamber had artifacts going back to the 80s, maybe earlier. That means soldiers have been disappearing from that training area for decades. You know about it. Command knows about it. And you do nothing." Kellerman stood. "This debriefing is over. You are all dismissed. Report to medical at 1400 hours. Do not discuss this incident with anyone outside this room. That is a direct order." We stood and filed out. Nobody spoke. What was there to say? We had walked into something that should not exist, and now the system was telling us it never happened. That we imagined it. That we were broken. Outside, the morning sun was bright and warm, normal. The base looked the way it always did. Soldiers running PT, vehicles moving between buildings, the American flag snapping in the breeze. Everything in its place, everything following the rules. But I could still feel the cold from that clearing, still see Whitaker's pale hand, still hear the voices in the chamber saying, "You will always come back." Brooks lit a cigarette with shaking hands. "They are not going to do anything." "No," Caldwell said, "they are not." "So what do we do?" Alvarez asked. Caldwell looked back toward the tree line in the distance, where Longstreet Training Area waited. "We go back." I turned to him. "Sir, tonight, after dark, just us, we find that clearing. We find Whitaker. We bring him home." "That is insane," Brooks said. "We barely made it out the first time." "I know, but I'm not leaving him out there. Not like that." I understood. It was not about orders or procedure anymore. It was about the fact that Whitaker was one of ours. You do not leave your people behind, ever, no matter how impossible the situation. "I am in," I said. Alvarez nodded. "Me too." Brooks stared at his cigarette for a long moment, then flicked it away. "Yeah. Okay, let's go get him." We spent the day preparing. We gathered extra batteries, chemical lights, rope, medical supplies, and emergency flares. We checked our weapons 3 times. We plotted grid coordinates based on memory, trying to reconstruct where we had been. None of it felt like enough. At 2100, we met at the edge of the training area. The sun had set an hour before. The sky was clear, stars bright overhead. There was no fog, not yet. We moved into the tree line without speaking. Our night vision goggles turned the forest into familiar shades of green. We followed the same route as before. Checkpoint Alpha, the tire tracks, the spot where we found Whitaker's rifle. The fog rolled in slowly. First just wisps at ground level, then thicker, then a wall. "Here we go," Brooks muttered. We pushed deeper. The forest changed around us. The trees grew closer. The undergrowth thickened. My watch read 2147, but it felt later. Much later. After 30 minutes, we found the footprints. They were not ours. They were smaller, lighter. They led west into the undergrowth, exactly like before. We followed them. They went straight for 100 meters, then stopped at the same spot. "This is where they ended last time," Alvarez said. Caldwell looked around. "Then we keep going. Same direction, straight through." We pushed forward through thick brush. Branches tore at our uniforms. Thorns caught on our gear. The fog pressed in until visibility dropped to 5 feet. Then we stepped into the clearing. It was exactly as we remembered, the circle of massive pines. The fog pooling like water. And in the center, the watchtower, leaning to one side, waiting. At the base of the tower, someone was sitting. We moved forward slowly, weapons up. As we got closer, I could see it was Whitaker. He sat with his back against the support beam, exactly like before. His hands rested on his knees. His eyes were open, staring at nothing. "Whitaker," Caldwell said softly. "We came back for you." No response. Caldwell knelt beside him. "Joshua, look at me." Whitaker's eyes shifted slowly. They locked on Caldwell's face. His skin was pale, almost translucent. The veins underneath were dark, prominent. His lips moved, forming words without sound. Then he spoke. His voice was flat, empty. "You should not have come back." "We are getting you out of here," Caldwell said. "I cannot leave. Not anymore. I wrote my name. My blood ran cold." "What?" Whitaker held up his hand. On his palm, carved into the flesh with something sharp, was his name, Joshua Whitaker. The letters were precise, deliberate. The wounds were not bleeding. They just sat there, black and dead against pale skin. "I went back inside," Whitaker said. "After you left. I went back to the chamber. I tried to resist, but the fog kept getting thicker. I kept forgetting who I was. so I wrote my name. I carved it into my skin so I would not forget. But that made it worse. Now I am bound here. Now I cannot leave. Alvarez backed away. This is wrong. This is all wrong. We can still get you out, Caldwell insisted. He grabbed Whitaker's arm and tried to pull him to his feet. Whitaker did not resist, but he did not help either. His body moved like dead weight. Then the others appeared. They stepped out of the fog around the clearing. 5 of them, 10, 20, all wearing uniforms from different eras, all with that same pale skin and empty eyes. They formed a ring around us, silent, watching. The first one we had seen stepped forward. You came back. That means you understand now. That means you are ready to stay. Caldwell raised his rifle. Stay back. All of you. You cannot fight us, the figure said. We are not your enemy. We are your future. Everyone who comes here becomes what we are. It is just a matter of time. Bullshit, Brooks said. He fired. The round hit the figure's center mass. It stumbled back a step, looked down at the hole in its chest, then looked back up at us. See? Rules do not apply here. More of them moved closer, not threatening, not aggressive, just closing in slowly like a noose tightening. I looked at Caldwell. Sir, we need to move. Not without Whitaker. He said he cannot leave. I do not care what he said. We are taking him. Caldwell grabbed Whitaker under the arms and lifted. Alvarez moved to help. Together they dragged him toward the edge of the clearing. The figures did not stop them. They just watched, heads tilted at that same unnatural angle. We reached the tree line. The fog was thicker here, almost solid. I could barely see 3 feet ahead. Behind us, the figures followed slowly, never hurrying, always keeping the same distance. Which way? Brooks asked. South, I said. Just keep moving south. We crashed through the undergrowth, dragging Whitaker between us. He did not struggle, did not help. He just hung there, dead weight, whispering the same words over and over. You should not have come back. You should not have come back. The figures stayed with us. I could hear them moving through the fog, their footsteps matching our pace. They were hurting us, pushing us deeper. And I realized, with cold certainty, that we were not escaping. We were being led. Then I saw it, the door at the base of the watchtower. We had somehow circled back. We were standing in the clearing again, right where we started. No, Caldwell said. No, we moved south. We held a bearing. But there it was, the tower, the door, the spiral bringing us back. The figures closed in. The first one spoke again. You cannot leave by running. You can only leave by accepting. Write your names. Join us. Then you will be free. Free to do what? I asked. Stand in the fog forever? Wait for more people to trap? Free to stop fighting. Free to stop fearing. Free to understand what this place really is. And what is it? Caldwell demanded. The figure smiled. It is where soldiers go when they do not want to remember anymore, when the weight of what they have done becomes too heavy, when the names of the dead pile up too high. This place takes that weight away. It makes you forget. All you have to do is stay. The words hit harder than they should have, because part of me understood, part of me knew exactly what it meant. The names, the faces, the missions that went wrong, the decisions that cost lives. Every soldier carried that weight. And this place offered a way to put it down. No, I said. My voice sounded weak even to me. That is not what this is. That is just what you tell yourself to justify staying. Is it? The figure asked. Then why did you come back? You escaped. You were free, but you came back anyway, because part of you wanted to. Part of you wants to stay. I did not have an answer, because it was right. We had come back. We had walked into the fog knowing what waited here. Maybe that meant something. Whitaker spoke again, louder this time. You should leave me. I am already gone. But you can still make it out. You just have to want to more than you want to stay. Caldwell looked at him. What does that mean? It means the fog only keeps you if you let it. If you fight hard enough. If you remember hard enough, you can break through. But you have to want to. And you have to do it now, before you forget why you wanted to leave. I felt it then. The fog pressing in. Not just around me, but inside me. A weight on my thoughts. A blur on my memories. I tried to remember my name. Staff Sergeant David Hensley. 82nd Airborne. 11 years. The details were there, but fainter now. Slipping. Now! Whitaker shouted. Go now! Caldwell made the call. Move. Everyone move south. Do not stop for anything. We ran. We left Whitaker sitting at the base of the tower. Left him with the figures closing in. Left him to become what they were. It felt like failure. It felt like betrayal. But we ran anyway. The fog fought us. It pressed against our legs like water. Our boots felt like lead. Every step was harder than the last. I could hear voices in the fog, some calling my name, others whispering things I could not quite make out. Promises, offers, reasons to stop. Brooks fell. Alvarez pulled him up. We kept moving. Caldwell shouted directions, his voice hoarse. South. Stay on bearing. Do not stop. My watch read 0312 or 0142 or 2156. The numbers blurred. Time had no meaning here. Only movement. Only the effort to keep going. Then, suddenly, the fog broke. We stumbled onto the hardball road near Checkpoint Alpha. The sky was clear. Stars overhead. The transport vehicles waiting. Everything normal. Everything real. We collapsed on the asphalt, gasping for air. My hands were shaking. My legs would not hold me. I lay there, staring at the sky, counting stars to prove they were real. Command found us 20 minutes later. Major Kellerman looked at the three of us and shook his head. Where is Caldwell? I looked around. Alvarez and Brooks were there, but Caldwell was gone. We had left with 4. Only 3 came back. The search teams went out again. They found nothing. No clearing, no tower, no sign of Lieutenant Ethan Caldwell or Private Joshua Whitaker. Both were listed as missing in action. Pending investigation, Alvarez, Brooks, and I were assigned to different units, separated. The official story was that we got lost during a training exercise and 2 men wandered off in the confusion. Exposure. Hypothermia. Possible desertion. But I know the truth. They are still out there, standing in that clearing, waiting at the base of the tower. Part of the fog now. Part of what calls to the next ones who walk into Longstreet Training Area on a night when the fog rolls in. Sometimes I think about going back, about walking into the tree line one more time, about finding that clearing and writing my name, because Whitaker was right about one thing. This place offers something, a way to forget, a way to put down the weight. But then I remember his face, the empty eyes, the flat voice, and I know that forgetting's not the same as healing. So I stay. I remember. I carry the weight. And I warn anyone who will listen. If you ever find yourself at Fort Bragg on a foggy night and you see tire tracks leading into the forest, do not follow them. If you hear footsteps matching your pace, do not call out. And if you ever see a watchtower in a clearing that is not on any map, turn around and run, because some doors should never be opened. Some spirals should never be followed. And some names should never be written, even if they promise to set you free.